Hey guys, I have got a great in-game video for you today. This is how to build a floating cabin. In this, I've taken a cabin, a regular cabin, and make it float. It's nearly impenetrable from zombies. I'm Mike, this is Chaos Cabin, and let's run that video. Alright, my fellow survivors, we are in 7 Days to Die, the original console version, and we are in Navisgane, and I have found a suitable candidate to build a floating cabin. So this is it. I'm going to go in here and attempt to remove the first floor, build up the second floor, and using flat plates, give the illusion that the cabin is floating. And then I will go through and give this area a complete makeover. I'll get rid of the dead trees. I will get rid of the weeds and whatnot. I'll do some landscaping. I'll put in a garden. And I'll put in decorative trees. So this will be completely different. So let's go. First thing I need to do is put in a second floor. So I'm going to look this place over a little bit. Let's go inside. I'll show you what I mean. See if I got anything here. Yeah, a little bit. So if you notice, there's the second floor's collapsed up there. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to rebuild that, and then I'm going to put in a shooting port in the center to fire down on the zombies that wander under the structure once it's floating. And then I'll build it out where I've got, my bed, my storage chests, campfire, workbench, all that stuff up there. And so I'm going to clear the basement, the ground floor out a little bit, and then put in the second floor and a ladder going up to it for now. And so let's get going. Now this ladder is just going to be temporary. I'll remove this once this place is built and I've got an exterior entrance. Boy, I wish I would have had some lighting in here, or had the common sense to bring a miner's helmet. To start rebuilding this floor, I'll upgrade all the existing blocks and then put in new blocks and new shapes as needed. I'll have a full block around the perimeter, and then after that, going towards the center, I'll have frame ramps filled in with the ramp angling in such a manner that it will facilitate firing down at the zombies that have entered the cabin. It sounds like I've got some restless neighbors out there, but I think I'm going to stay in here and continue the build and let them wander around. I don't think there's any way they're going to get to me up here. This is pretty much the build I'm looking for. I will come back and redo the corners. Each of the corners, I don't really like those. I'm going to put in a full corner. You'll notice how the corners, one is an actual full block and the other one is two ramps that come together in an awkward fashion, and that is going to be every corner. So I'll fix those later. And right now it's too late to go out and get wood, which I'm out of. So I'm going to focus on doing a little bit of demo work, and then I will pick up on this again in the morning. I'll put cobblestone frame plates in here so I can shoot a ranged weapon through here. It's the same strength as a wood frame, but a lot less obstruction. And I'm placing it in the manner that I'm placing it so it's flush with the existing floor. The only thing that'll take these out is either a cop vomiting on it or exploding under it. So I put down a campfire, a couple of storage chests, and a bedroll, and now I'm going to wait until daylight so I can go out and collect some resources to continue on this project, as I am pretty much out of wood. I've spent most of the day collecting resources, and now it's time to put some stairs up here, but in keeping with the theme, they have to be floating. First I'll mock it up using wood frames, because they're easy to work with and calculate in my head, and then I will replace those with cobblestone frame plates. Before I can move on, I've got to put some wood frames down as scaffolding because I have to get a higher vantage point. Since we're doing this floating design, I have to be up higher to where I can aim down more acutely to place the cobblestone plates on top of the existing cobblestone plates. This will make more sense here in a minute. Watch the green frames of the block carefully. Now normally if you remove a block from underneath another block, the block on top will fall down and collapse. However, these blocks are being held together by the blocks next to them that they're attached to. Remember, the game sees any block as a full block, even if it's just a frame plate like this, a thin block like a paving stone. Now once again, watch the orientation of the green frame of the block. It may not look like it, but that's two full blocks stacked on top of each other as the game code sees it. However, there's enough room for a character, a player, or a zombie to walk between the two blocks. It's kind of like the game sees it as two things at once. Two solid blocks, and yet two thin blocks a character's height away from each other. Alright, it's getting late. I'm going to try and hurry this process up a little bit, and I'm going to jump forward to closer to the end. I've got all the frame plates in place, and I've got the stairs on top of them, but it is getting late, It's almost 2200 hours, so I've got to get at least the first 2 layers of blocks here filled in so that if I get attacked, the zombies won't take them out, because in this current state, they're pretty fragile. They only have the strength of a wood frame. Once they're hammered up, they'll be about 1200 hit points, so I'll be a lot safer. I'll continue this project in the morning. Now here's a better look at the stairs in the daylight. I still need to upgrade those plates, but I'm going to use my cobblestone rock building the columns on all 4 corners of the cabin first instead, because I'm kind of limited on that resource. And then I'll get more cobblestone rocks, which is a combination of clay and stone, and then I'll finish the stairs. They're good for now, so I'm going to work on the columns. I'll need to remove all of the walls, but the trick is to remove all the walls without allowing the building to collapse. So what I'm going to do is go to each corner and chop out the walls, the wood wall, or the wood corner, and then rebuild that corner with the floating column blocks. This way, the building will have a solid foundation while I tear the rest of it out. Remember, in 7 Days to Die, the programming will see this flat plate as a solid concrete block, so it'll be plenty strong. Remember, when building a floating horde base like this, when you're putting in that second flat plate, like I'm doing here, you have to do it from a position of above, and you can't just do it straight out. So you'll have to nerd pull up and kind of do it at a slight downward angle. The only reason it's working here is because it's actually sticking to the top. It's sticking to the cabin that's still standing. But that flat plate, if it's down low on the ground, it sticks real easy. And if it's flipped over and the flat plate is at the top, that's when you have to get a above perspective and aim down. Now I'll fill these in, and then I'm going to go around the cabin here and do the corners and maybe 1 or 2 in the middle. So let me get that done. Whether it looks like it or not, that is a solid column that will hold the weight of a column made out of concrete blocks. This is the last of the 4 corner columns. Now I will go around the bottom edge of the cabin and put in flat plates to suspend the cabin. These flat plates will go from column to column to column, giving the cabin a much stronger frame. Here I am finishing up one side of the cobblestone plate frame. That's hard to say. Now I'll just go the rest of the way around the house and do the same thing. Now I need to get rid of that porch, and I can do that one of 2 ways. I could just go up there and chop along at that roof up near the house until it just collapsed. That'd be the quick way, but I'm kind of low on wood. As you've noticed, there's no trees around here. No mature trees around here anyway, so I'm going to chop away from the outside of that porch towards the house, and that'll allow me to harvest the wood instead of just wasting the wood when it collapses. And that is the last of the porch roof. I'll go ahead and tear off the rest of the porch, and then we'll continue. The porch has been removed, but it's nighttime, so I can't really work on the ground because of the threat of being attacked. So I'm working on the balcony. I'm adding the wooden railing all the way around, and I'll be able to put that all on from the top side, except for one in each corner. And the corner pieces will need to be done from the ground because no two blocks can occupy the same space, and so they will need to be put on from the outside, because even though this is a thin railing, again, it takes up a full block. Now I'm adding a second wooden hatch so that I've got kind of a buffer zone between me and the stairs. While I've only seen the zombies actually make it up the stairs once or twice, it's always nice to have a little extra insurance in the apocalypse. It is an absolutely beautiful morning here at the end of the world, so I'm going to put these wooden railing corner pieces in. So to do that, I'll need to nerd pull up and then mount the piece from the outside, and you can observe the green wireframe as it's being mounted to see how that's positioned. I'll do this all the way around, and then we'll move on. Then I spent a considerable amount of time smashing out all the existing walls now that I've got, 6 columns holding the building up. And so all the walls had to come out. But on the upside, I was able to reclaim quite a bit of wood. Alright, well, everybody that plays 7 Days to Die knows that that means it's time to go inside and have a beer. But first, here's a quick look at how this is shaping up. Now, I know this is a building video and not a fighting video, but right after I went inside, I did have some uninvited guests drop by, and so I thought I would take this opportunity to showcase how the maze-like floor that is downstairs that hasn't been hacked out yet holds the zombies in place, keeps them from darting back and forth. It's really hard to take aim at a zombie that's darting back and forth. But they come in here and get kind of snagged on these blocks, and so I've used to incorporate that into my build designs so they'll make an easier target. Alright, I just thought I'd show you this. This is kind of funny. Here it is, like day 247 or something like that, and all I have is a bone shiv. Now, I actually do have a knife. I just left it at my other base, and wasn't really set up for fighting at this base. I'm just set up for building. Alright, we'll step back, get a little perspective, and take a look at this, how this place looks so far. You can see I still need to take out the chimney and part of the wall and the door frame, and there's a few other little odds and ends. I did leave like trash piles there so I could loot them as the loot respawn, but that's all gonna have to go. Anyway, here it is so far. Well, on to the next thing. And as it turns out, the next thing was removing the rest of that floor. I did go back and remove the fireplace stones as well. I had thought about incorporating them into a set of baffles beneath the cabin, but then decided it's better to get rid of them and start fresh. Next, I put up some lamp posts, one on each side of the cabin with the light directed back towards the cabin. These are a fairly simple affair, 3 blocks high, with the torch on the 3rd block because the zombies tend to stumble into and destroy things 2 blocks high. In retrospect, I wish I would have gone with something fancier, maybe a cylindrical post instead of just a plain square one. And I can always go back and redo that because wood's cheap and you can reuse the torches. But for now, it looks good. After that, I mowed the lawn, so to speak. And to do that most effectively, you crouch and then point your fist straight out and hit right at the top of the foliage. The reason you want to do this is it gives the place a cleaner look, and you can find things like birds' nests much quicker and easier when they're not covered by foliage. That allows you to harvest them and get eggs and feathers. The other thing is this way you can see zombie crawlers and fight them better. Oftentimes in an area like this, you'll be fighting a crawler and you'll strike the weeds instead. The other thing, of course, is you get a lot of fiber this way. And you need fiber for all kinds of things that you don't think about until later in the game. Next, I installed a buttload of torches on and around the cabin. I just think it gives it a better aesthetic. And in addition to that, when you're racing home with a herd of zombies on your tail, it's nice to be able to find your home, and these torches help with that. As a side note, did you know that you can use a torch as a club? In one of my early videos, I was outside during a horde night and had a torch and was using that to fend off a zombie and actually caught the zombie on fire. So I thought that was kind of cool. I planted a variety of trees from a variety of biomes around the cabin. That'll give me, first of all, the aesthetic property of it, but also plenty of fuel for my forges and campfires and building materials. Next, I put in a garden in the backyard. If you've watched my channel much, then you've heard me rail on about how every place needs a garden, because with a garden you can grow food, fuel, medicine, tea to drink, hops to make beer, just about everything you need to bring your health and stamina up. I'll leave a link in the description down below. The garden will be going in between those frames down there where I've measured it out. The first part of putting in a garden is marking out your plot. And I like to do this so I know exactly how many rows and columns the garden encompasses. First of all, you want to check your map and make sure you're not putting your garden right on top of clay, because nothing grows in clay. So check that. In your map, look for the kind of off-color brownish areas, and that'll be clay. Alright, the border's done. Now I just need to grab my hoe and hoe up the garden. Prepare the dirt so it'll take seeds. If you hoe it, it will double your production. If you don't hoe it, you'll just be doing a 1-for-1, and there's no sense in that. I've got a video on it. I'll put a link down below. I had to run back to the house and grab my hoe. I had left my hoe at the house. You'll notice this is not a particularly good hoe. It's kind of a low-level hoe. But let's face it, one hoe is as good as another. They all perform about the same. So just grab a hoe and go to town. Just remember, you want to use the left trigger and make the dirt change that color, and then you know you're ready to plant. Now remember, anytime you're using your hoe in the garden, make sure you have some dirt in your inventory so it'll repair the ground if it's damaged. Damaged ground will not accept a plant. And next, of course, I laid in a variety of plants that will do all kinds of things for us in the apocalypse. Everything from heal me to feed me to provide me with fuel for the mini bike. I stood up some simple 3-block high columns to put torches on, And that'll help me see the undead coming through the trees at night, and it'll also help me work in the garden on quiet evenings. Now, I'm putting the torches on the third block because the undead tend to stumble into and claw at the first and second block, and they'd take those torches out. And now a quick look at the garden from the balcony off the back of the cabin. Now that's starting to look like home. I'm going to finish out the interior a little bit. Now, I don't consider this a horde base by any means. This is more of a layover base. I'll come here when I'm looting this area or harvesting resources from this area. But there's still a few things that I consider must-haves, and so I'm going to throw those down in here and make it a little homier. Okay, normally in a layover outpost base like this in 7 Days to Die, I probably wouldn't put a cement mixer or a vending machine. However, I had them on me because I was using the trader glitch earlier and I thought they'd look cool. I'll leave a link in the description below for that. Alright everybody, that pretty much brings us to the end of this. I thought I'd take a look at the cabin from the outside as the sun is going down, and look at the difference that is. You know, you're really only limited by your imagination in this game, and that's what's so much fun about it, is building it out. And it's a good balance. There's a good balance. You don't simply fight zombies. You fight zombies, you collect resources, you build interesting stuff and stretch your imagination, in addition to resource management and exploration and looting. So I still get a kick out of this old game, and I hope you do too. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Let me know if you'd like to see more stuff like this. And now I'll just let this video play out. Alright, there you have it. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you would have done different. Tell me what you liked about it in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, give me one of those. And until next time, don't let them eat you.